Sure. Ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the October meeting. Let's do let's do Pledge of Allegiance. Who can lead us? Chip, you're there.
Sure.
Sure.
Everybody would follow along. And I pledge allegiance to the
To
flag
the flag
of the
of the
United
United
States
States
of
of
America,
America,
and to the republic
and
to the republic
for which it stands,
where it
which stands
one nation,
one nation,
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
indivisible,
liberty
with
and
liberty and
justice
justice
for
for all.
all. Thank you. Thank you, Chip.
for all. Welcome.
Oh, in the new agenda, I don't see roll calls. I mean, I see roll call, but I don't see the names. Laura, do you want to help me?
Yeah, give me a moment.
So maybe we want to add the names in the roll call next time in the agenda itself.
Okay. Chip Kohler,
Here.
Susan Howe,
Here.
Vanita Verma,
Here.
Paul Whitman, Kathy Newman,
Here.
Carla Cox,
Here.
and Brian Gephardt.
Here.
Thank you so much for that, Laura. I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
Approve.
Susan made some motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, thank you so much. Next item is public comments. Do we have any public comments? I did not receive any emails or messages. What about Kathy or Laura?
No, none. Thank you.
None.
Okay. Do we have anybody from the public present over here to make a comment? Okay. Seeing none, we are moving to the next agenda item, which is approval of September 7th to the 2022 meeting minutes. Can I have a motion for that? I hope you all got an opportunity to look at them.
I never actually saw those, but
They were in the agenda. The link was in the agenda.
oh, the link is with the agenda? Okay.
Yeah, it's within the agenda. We just changed, I think, FUSD changed the format for our meeting agenda. So that's how it is going to be.
Oh,
I
see.
make a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting.
Thank you, Kathy.
A second.
Thank you, Susan. Any debate? Any corrections? Seeing none, let's vote for it. All those in favor to approve the meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
I wasn't there, but I was there for half a part of it. So motion moves and the meeting minutes are approved. They can be put in the public. I think the agenda is already public, so the meeting minutes are public already. Maybe we don't want to do that next time. We want to give the committee an opportunity to look at the meeting minutes, and once it is approved, then only we can make it public.
So we post the draft minutes as draft, and then once they're approved, they get posted separately onto our webpage so people can access it as the approved minutes.
Okay. I'm sure. I mean, I don't know the legalities behind it, but I'm sure you guys have checked it. Update on the current member terms.
So I'm going to share my screen for this. And let me know when you can all see this. So this is these are my draft minutes, but this is the item from the agenda. So I have an update on the current member terms. So you all may remember this issue was surfaced by Member Cox and others that a board vote to change CBOC members' terms was really unclear. It was it was hard to understand the minutes, and executive assistant to the board, Patty Sandoval, and I watched the video and looked through the minutes, and it was a very confusing vote for a number of reasons. But we wanted to get a final answer on what the current members' terms are. And so we asked the board to approve revised minutes from the September 22nd, 2021 board meeting, so that there's clarity on what they meant when they voted. So this is from the September 28th meeting, the recent Board of Education meeting, that they approved revised minutes so that we could be really clear on members' terms. So that's that. And I'm going to pull up the membership roster, which lays that out. So these are the voting members 1 through 7 and the alternate positions that we have for the CBOC. And a number of current members had terms that were going to expire and were lengthened so they could continue to serve. So each of you can take a look at this to find your term expiration date. The soonest we have is in March for Kathy, and she's aware of that, and also Chip. And Kathy and Chip are actually going to be termed out at that point. So if you see a dark gray box in the term 3 column, that means that position has 2 3-year terms. And if you see a light color box there, that means that position has 3 2-year terms eligible. I hope that all made sense, but these are your current expiration dates, and these have all been reconfirmed by our board.
Okay.
And this is the current roster, which includes, no, it's not. It doesn't include Brian. I was going to update that. I'm sorry, Brian. So Brian Gephardt has taken this alternate position. Looks like he did everything but add your name. I added the term and everything. So sorry about that. And I'll update that, but this is otherwise accurate as of right now.
Okay.
Are there any questions about that?
Yeah, I have a question. Welcome back, Brian, but I'm not quite sure how it came about that you're back.
Well, I applied, and the board reappointed me.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, I didn't know that.
That's the.
Okay, like I say, welcome back. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Just didn't realize you had reapplied. Fantastic.
It all happened since your last meeting.
Okay.
I reached out to Laura, said, I'll join up again if you guys need me.
Okay.
And she's like, thank you.
Yep,
Okay.
that was it.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Laura, for updating us on this. Then, okay, so that was another item that I don't think we have it over here. I thought that is what we've meant when we had agenda item 6, that we are going to reintroduce Brian and tell everybody, hey, we have Brian now.
Yay.
Okay, coming to the next agenda item, elections of officers. I know Chip has written to me that he would be interested in chair position, but he wanted to start in January. And seeing,
I didn't realize I term out in March, so that probably doesn't make any sense.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I don't know how we want to deal with that particular issue. If you want, if you are willing to take it, you can do it, start from now and end in March.
No, I still have a few too many commitments between now and the end of the year to really effectively chair this committee also.
Okay, fair enough. So we are looking for somebody to chair from this committee, to chair for this year. I would like to see some hands raised.
So Vanita, this is Carla. I have a question. So if Chip and Kathy both term out in March and I'm in April, I'm not sure how that would work in terms of the different positions.
If you are interested in presidency or any position, I think maybe what we can do is you can serve until you are present, and then after that, one of us, whoever is left over, will have to take over your responsibilities. I don't see any other way of doing it, because your terms end mid-school year. I don't even know when my term ends. I mean, I did not pay attention to it. But whoever term ends mid-school year, we will have to, and if they hold a elected position, we probably will have to do that. Carla, would you be interested in the chair position?
Honestly, no, but if I don't know what the other alternatives are.
I mean, see, we have basically 3 positions: chair, vice chair, and parliamentarian. So we all have to do our terms and try to take the positions that we can take and help the committee move forward. All I can say is I probably will be out of town in the month of January. But I also, January we have a meeting. But so whoever is vice chair will have to do that particular meeting at least. Whichever, if I'm continuing as chair, unless Carla wants to be the chair.
I'm willing to be vice chair through January, but then I am out of the country when am I out of the country? All of March, and my term expires in April. So Chip and I at one point had kind of discussed I was willing to take a position, and then he would turn it over to him in January. But then that is really moving things around quite a bit. But we can't do anything about the fact our terms are expiring, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
When I volunteered, I didn't realize I was terming out in the spring.
We are in a very sticky situation right now. So, okay,
Well,
let's move and let's figure out who wants to be chair.
well, Susan, would you like to be chair?
I would love to, but I mean, given my work, I mean, like workplace, what's happening with my workload, I can. So I barely could make it to this meeting, but hey, I felt like I'm committed. I would love to be here, but yeah, I don't want to take it on without really, putting on time or extra time for that. So I declined that. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Carla, I already asked Brian. So if you see me skirting around Brian, it is because I have already asked him and he said a big no. So
Is it because he's an
I'm
alternate?
chair.
Or because he's I know Brian's
Yeah.
committed to a lot of things.
It's the chair for the Facilities Advisory Committee, and so adding another one, I would prefer not to.
Well, I would think from the school district's point of view, a bigger concern is just the number of members we have.
yeah.
I mean, we're very short staffed.
Yeah.
I don't know what is being done to try to recruit. I'm glad Brian's back, and he sort of self-recruited himself, it sounds like. But what is the school district doing?
So there's probably another way of doing it, Kathy and Chip. Your terms expire in March. Maybe you want to apply in January. So you can be back in February. So you can, as a new member, instead of continuing your term, or
Well-
maybe I don't know whether our bylaws determine that we have to be out missing for 1 year.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's a maximum of 6 consecutive years. either 2 3-year terms or 3 2-year terms.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess I've
technically,
been off. I guess I've been off for over a year. Or what's the rest period, if you will?
Two,
I
Brian.
don't know if that's
years.
Was it 2
specifically
years?
addressed, but consecutive years is 6.
Time goes by fast, Brian.
Has it been 2 years?
I think it has. Yeah, I think it actually was.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, you've been attending all of our meetings, but I think, formally, I think it has been 2 years.
okay.
Yeah.
So to move forward, in that case, I'll put my hat back again for the chair position for this year. I mean, I don't think Carla has raised her hand. I've asked her multiple times, and I don't know whether she's interested at all or not.
And I'm willing to be vice chair until, I'm not here through February, and then it's sayonara or whatever you say in South America. Adios.
Okay, and then so we are left with parliamentarian position.
Carla's a really good parliamentarian.
That should be-
I'm finding that again. I just don't know. Are those also? I don't remember if those are also term limited or not.
well, as current parliamentarian,
I know,
look it
right?
up.
You
No,
think
just
I
kidding.
should know? I'm
I don't
firing
think
myself.
there's any limits on that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bylaws and I don't see anything.
I think the limits are just on the term on the committee, not on a
On the position.
yeah.
Yeah. Carla, so let me ask you again. Would you like to be parliamentarian or the chair?
Parliamentarian.
Okay. So we have a slate for Vinita for chair, Catherine for vice chair, and Carla for parliamentarian. Any objection to this slate? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the slate?
I move we accept that slate as our leadership.
Thank you, Jeff.
Second.
Can I have a second? Thank you. Can I have everybody, any discussions at this point? Any objections? Seeing no objections, let's vote for it. All those in favor for the slate, please say aye.
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 Carla, did you vote?
I said aye.
Okay,
Sorry.
Brian?
Although technically I think I'm an unseated alternate and do not have a vote, right? Because Susan is the seated parent guardian, so I'm alternate. So I don't think I get the vote technically.
I think Brian is correct.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you,
But
everybody.
I am very supportive of the measure.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your support. So, okay, let's serve one more year with this team, or at least until Kathy leaves us, which will be a very sad day. Moving to the next agenda item. Thank you, everybody, for participating in the elections. It was a very interesting elections. So, let's look at the audit report. Laura? Or somebody from FUSD who wants to talk about the audit report. I believe we need to adopt it.
I can go ahead and jump in. Hi, I'm Danny Hillman. I'm the new Associate Superintendent of Business Services, so it's nice to meet you all.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you. So this is day 8 for me on the job, so you'll bear with me as I get up to speed and get absorbed all of the different documents and the details and the history of all the things that you guys have been doing for Measure E. Just a real brief summary about where I've been. I spent the last 10 years in San Ramon Valley Unified School District. I was both a site administrator there, a director of facilities, assistant superintendent, and chief business officer. So I've had several different roles and hats in that district. But I wanted to see if I could speak to this item of the audit report. So normally what happens with audit reports, generally speaking, and I can click and open this thing real quick while we're talking. But the audit report itself for Measure D is made up of two components. There is a financial audit, and then there is a performance audit. And both of those items are pretty standard to any audit. This one for Measure E, it follows a similar format to the audit that we do for all of our district funds. And that happens annually too. So if you were to ever log in and watch a board meeting, a trustee meeting, you would see similar commentary, similar process being followed for checking the books for the district versus just looking at Measure E funds. So it's very similar. So of the two audits, the item that's linked in the agenda takes you back to May 11th, 2022. So the audit time period, according to the board agenda item, is through June 30th of 2021. So this isn't too uncommon, especially coming out of the pandemic. A lot of audits were, they took a little bit of time to basically get completed. Things got backlogged during the audit, or during the pandemic, pardon me. And so to have an audit come forward finishing in June of 21, but not come to the board until almost 12 months later is pretty typical right now, just with everyone getting caught up. So that's doesn't signify anything other than we had a major disruption to our world. It doesn't have anything to do really with the contents of the audit or anything that they found. It didn't take longer per se because of something else. It's primarily just staffing issues. And all auditors pretty much up and down the state are dealing with the same thing, just for context, if that's helpful for the committee. So the way that the role of the board with an audit is that they are accepting the audit from the auditor. In some districts, they might take action, and I'm looking at what our board did. This was receive and accept the audit. The board doesn't approve the audit. You'll notice that verb is different, because the role of the board is essentially to accept the financial report, accept the professional auditor's opinion that's in the report, and then take any action if necessary, if it's outlined in the report. The CBOC's role vis-a-vis the board, because the board is the acting body for the entire district, is that a CBOC typically will review the financial audit also and will say, hey board, we recommend that you accept and review it. The CBOC's votes are essentially advisory to the board. That's how the structure of the law is set up, Proposition 39. So at any rate, the role of this item on your agenda tonight is really for information. There isn't an action that you must take at this point from my reading, because the board has already taken the appropriate action. But if you had questions, or if there was anything that you wanted to have more information about, that's something that you could reflect back to staff, and we can look into it. If we can't answer it here, we'll get your questions answered. But that's kind of the way the structure works with audits when it comes to general obligation bonds. And this is a pretty standard practice up and down the state with lots of different school districts. So I don't know if that's helpful for context, or if you had specific questions that you wanted to address or bring up, but I can turn it back over to you, Chair Verma, and you can take it from here.
Benita, you're on mute. Benita, you're on mute.
Thank you very much. I realized after I started speaking. Thank you, Chip. So, and thank you, Mr. Hillman. So you made to say we need to have a vote, right? To adopt it or not, or we don't do anything?
The CBOC does not adopt the audit. You would go as far as making a recommendation to the Board of Education that they accept and receive the audit.
Okay.
But that was already done in May. The board already took that action. So if you click into the item that's in your agenda tonight, it takes you to the agenda from May 11th. And so the board has already done that.
Brian?
So if we were to make a recommendation to the board, we would obviously need to see the audit before the board accepted the audit, I think was the right word. So I guess one of the follow-up questions would be, why did not we consider this last year before the board?
I can speak to that. So the board and CBOC members received the audit report at the same time by mail. They received a hard copy of the audit report, and it was on the May 4th CBOC meeting agenda.
Oh.
If I'm not wrong, it was not to move it forward. It was just to for the presentation to happen for the audit. I don't think there was any motion that we recommend that the board would adopt it. If I'm not wrong, I could be wrong. Do you guys remember?
Yeah, I do remember.
So-
What happened was we received the audit report, and I think in the same month, that was when the assistant superintendent was terminated suddenly, and the assistant superintendent's, I think that was her attorney, made some comments about how the CBOC might be interested in why she was terminated. And so we didn't take action on the audit because we wanted to hear more about that.
Yeah, so that's what I remember. I don't know how this audit was moved to the board.
Yeah, it seems
So
like
I can't speak to what took place in the past, but because I wasn't here. But what I can tell you is that the relationship between the CBOC and a board of education is that it isn't a requirement that the CBOC take an action prior to the board taking an action. That's not a requirement. Now, that can be culture, that can be habit, that can be past practice, but it's not, there's nothing wrong with the board taking action if the committee didn't do something. So I just want to put that out there as that's kind of the way the laws go together or don't go together. So I don't know if that's helpful. It doesn't answer your specific question with regard to the prior employee, the previous employee, but the items can go to the board even if a committee is still discussing it. That's the board's, that's their right to do that because they're the governing body. So I don't know if that helps.
This is Kathy, and I'm looking at the minutes of the meeting on May 4th, and there was a reference to the audit report. And I believe that Carla Cox requested that a representative from Ide Bailey present something to the members of the committee because they did do part of the audit. And the Kelly said she'd see if a representative was available for the June 1st meeting, and I don't think that ever happened. So that is what happened in essence at the May 4th meeting. And and this is not to say things were very, very confused at that time with a lot of things going on all over the place, but that is what is summarized in the May 4th meeting notes.
And I remember it that way too. I agree.
Yeah.
I think, and Chip, you can tell me, and Brian, even you can tell me because you have served as a chair in previous years. So if I'm not wrong, and as far as I remember, I think it is a practice that we accept it first before it goes to the board, right?
that's what I always thought.
So I am a little bit. I mean, I am not. I'm not very convinced that this is what happened this year is a standard practice of the CBOC. So which is very sad because it's I don't like it when there is a committee of people who are here for to do exactly what we are supposed to do, and that is exactly what did not happen. So I'm little I'm a little upset that it bypassed us, and I hope it doesn't happen in future because it just speaks against having a committee. The reason to have a committee is because we are oversight committee. If our oversight does not mean anything, then the use of committee just goes to the trash. That's my feeling. What do you guys think?
When did you say the board actually officially accepted the audit report? In what month?
They said May 11th. If you click on the agenda,
On May 11th.
yeah, if you click on the agenda, there's a link to when it was done.
Yeah, it is. It says May 11, 2022.
So I think there are.
And I don't think I don't think we got the audit report until June.
I think you might be wrong. It was actually posted on board docs. You know, I am just going to caution everybody. This was a very chaotic time between both the committee as well as the board. And I do believe it was on board docs because I think it's referenced in the letter that the superintendent sent to us on June 3rd, talking about what was posted on board docs and what was not posted on board docs. And my recommendation to people is, why don't we try going forward with a fresh approach and stop trying to micromanage what did or did not happen several months ago, because nothing's going to come of that.
Right.
Right.
That's my
Well, I think building on being, I mean, there's several considerations. One is going forward, right? We want to receive the audit before the board, and I think not universally, but many times we've had the auditor actually present to us, just like they present to the board.
Right.
And I think that would be the best practice.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that was asked for last May. And then I guess there's at least two other concerns. The other concern is there anything to discuss about this audit that we want to discuss, right? We can always discuss and send our input to the board even after they've accepted it. And then I think third is referencing that it has been a crazy time. I think one of the concerns CBOC had was this cloud around this complaint about bond expenditures. And the last communication we got is in our minutes we just adopted, noted that you, Mr. Hillman, are going to be leading those review efforts. So that would be kind of just the third point of interest, right? So one is, practice moving forward. Two, do we say anything about this audit? And third, would be interested to know what the resolution of the bond program review is.
And that's
or what
exactly
the status and plan is.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that.
Mhm.
And that's what I said. Like, I understand it happened, but let's not make it a practice. Let's not do it. Let's not repeat it in future. I see Carla's hand. Carla, you have a question, concern, comment?
I have the hard copy in front of me, and I don't know if Chip, just for Chip's knowledge, it's dated March 18th, 2022, but I don't know if I don't remember if that's close to when I received it, but that's when it was mailed. The hard copy that I received, that's the lettered date for my records. I don't know if that helps, Chip.
Okay, that's good to know.
And I agree with what Brian said, that I think moving forward, I don't know if we need to maybe make it just ongoing practice that the CBOC would like someone from the audit company or firm or whoever prepared the audit to present to us. I think that's what's happened in the past, and I don't see why we should deviate from that. And if that's already kind of the set way we do it, then we should be able to plan for that for the next audit.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carla. And that's exactly what we asked in April and May, and then continued to ask for the same thing. So not making it any further longer than what we have already discussed. I think I'm sure the staff got the gist of what we are asking and what we would like to see in future. Again, audit report, as mentioned by everybody, we would like somebody to come and present the audit report, not just send us the hard copy and expect us to read it. and think that, okay, we are done with our responsibility. That's not exactly your responsibility. We are an oversight committee, and we would like to see somebody come and present it to us. Mr. Hillman?
Thank you. I just was going to summarize, and then I think I can circle back to the third item that that Brian mentioned, and I can give a little update on that too. So loud and clear, we hear you, staff hears you. Practice going forward. Make sure that the copy of the audit gets to you and this committee. Have the auditor present. I will check in. We have a new auditor this year. Went through an RFP process, and we have a new auditor. So that auditor I'll check in with them about 2 presentations being involved in their contract, not instead of just 1 to the board. So we'll check on that. 2, the audit results Brian asked about of the current, it was not current, but the audit for the 2021 fiscal year. I don't believe there were any audit findings or anything in there that was of concern that the auditor reviewed. And then the third thing that was mentioned was review and process going forward based upon the minutes. As a point of reference, you can go back to, I believe it was the board meeting on September 28th. The Board of Education finalized and approved the contract with the Fiscal Crisis Management and Assistance Team, known as FCMAT, FCMAT. They are the leading expert in the state for all things fiscal related to schools. And so they will be the ones coming in to do the review. And that was board approved. We sent it off to the county, and we will move forward with scheduling the start of that review. So I just wanted you to have that detail.
So is that review going to be presented to us?
FCMAT is a public agency, so their report is automatically a public document. So yes, it will be presented to you, and it will be posted on websites for anyone to read.
Okay, Chip?
What is the status of the June 2022 audit?
So June 2022, our auditor shows up next week after the close of our books. So this happens for all funds, not just Measure E. So the timeline is that district staff take the summertime and into the fall. And by the end of September, they close the books. The auditor comes in October, and they begin their review. And they will do that starting next week. And the audits for not only Measure E, but all of our funds should be ready around the same timeline. So early spring, I would say probably not much earlier than March. And then we will do not the same process this past year, but we'll follow the template that sounds like was followed in previous years. We'll get it to you. It'll be on one of your spring agendas. We'll have the auditor present and speak to any details, and then we'll put it on an agenda with the Board of Education.
Well, what I'm asking is, right now we're talking about an audit report dated June 30, 2021. And I'm wondering, where is the audit report dated June 30, 2022?
That's what I just described. So in order for that audit to start, we have to close the books. Closing the books through June of 2022 takes several months.
I think, if I'm not wrong, the audit report is already 1 year late. So the 2021 report is from 2020 to 2021.
So June 30, 2021, that wasn't the date the report was released. That just reflects the fiscal year it covers. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. These are fiscal year reports from July 1 to June 30. So the time frame is not that. This is the time frame. This is what all districts do. There's nothing unique about this particular time frame.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Actually, Chip, that reminds me about a point that you raised, that there are the audit reports are not made public on our website. I remember you mentioning that there were quite a few reports that were not made public on the website. So that is something that you might want to look at too.
Right.
We did address that concern. All audit reports are on the CBOC website, and they were all on the board docs previously. So they were publicly available, but we've linked it on the CBOC's webpage just so people could find it a little bit easier.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it's not easy to to go through board docs and find something. It's pretty tedious process. Having it on, since we have a CBOC website, I think it makes sense to have all the reports, all the attached information to CBOC be present on the website of CBOC.
The June 3rd message from the superintendent to the committee does state that that is happening. Okay.
Okay.
I have it right in front of me. It's helpful sometimes to kind of keep a written copy of these things. So
No, I remember that. Kathy. I haven't seen the website, so I don't know if that is happening on the website already or not. Okay.
I have the
Moving-
website in front of me.
Okay.
It's on there, Vinia.
Okay, good, very good. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is vote to determine which of the CBOC members should attend the California Association of Bond Oversight Committees. I did send you guys the email that I had, and it is, as I mentioned, it's $100 for anybody. I mean, from 1 to 15 people. It doesn't only have to be only CBOC people. It can be staff. It can be board members. It can be anybody. Brian, I think I did send it to you too, right?
I saw something, yes.
Okay. So this is happening on October 15th. And if I'm not wrong, it is 1 or 2 day workshop.
Where is it at?
Say it again, Chip.
Where is it physically at? What city?
It's not, everything is virtual these days. You
Oh,
don't have to go anywhere.
Oh.
So I'd like to see if anybody would be interested so that we can let the staff know and they can start the registration process if need be. Anybody interested?
Not for me.
It is about training. It's about I think the topics were already included in the email.
Mhm.
And I just
I
like to
was-
note really quick that there is no specific funding or mechanism right now for the district to provide professional development or outside training for any committee members. So part of this this item is to request that FUSD support that with the registration funds, and based on this vote, more action can be taken. But there is no funding set aside at this time.
I'm sorry. I'm going to mute myself until my phone stops ringing. Okay. Anybody who's interested, or nobody's interested?
Well, it sounds like there's
It's
no funding.
it's
to
a
go, so
$100
it doesn't
funding,
matter.
and Superintendent Kamek did say that we can look into it if you guys are interested. Nobody?
I'll pass.
Okay. Carla, Susan, Kathy, Brian? No? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not interested at this time, but it's an interesting organization. And it's a kind of thing we probably would want to, since nobody's going, it's maybe a moot point if nobody's going, but they have a legislative agenda, and that's the kind of thing we'd want to discuss, I think, as a committee before.
I can speak about that. I am in the legislative committee of CABOC, so I can speak about that.
Oh, you are?
I am on there. And
As a CBO, well, the way I think about it is as CBOC, we should consider, and then if anybody's going or representing us there, that they should carry the message of the full CBOC.
So I will be bringing it in the next meeting. There is a resolution coming up our way to make some legislative changes. I'll bring it next time, but this time I just wanted to bring this up. So, and I personally feel that when I speak to their founder and when I speak to the directors, they have so much more knowledge than us. They have so much vast information than we can ever have. It's a good idea for us to get trained by them, just because there are so many things that we miss, and we are supposed to look at those things. So I mean, as you can see, I'm certainly interested, even though the team is not interested. But I think Laura, I would like the school district to know that it is a good idea for us to have that fund. I'm not asking for $1,000; it's $100 per year, or at least this year. And I think it will be a good idea to have that fund available, even if it is not this year. I mean, I would certainly love to go. I would also encourage anybody in the staff who is working with any bond oversight committees to attend it.
I'll make a motion to, if a motion is needed, but happy to turn that into a motion that we can all act upon, which probably is that to request $100 funding for the CABOC conference for any member of the Fremont CBOC, and I guess and staff
Staff and board
to
members
attend.
too. Yeah.
And board members too. So
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Brian. Anybody who wants to second?
I'll second
Uh,
Carla.
Carla and Kathy both second. All those in favor, please say aye.
I got a discussion item.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry.
Sure.
Discussion.
I think we ought to pass this motion only if somebody can go. If none of us are going to go, we shouldn't pass the motion. There's no sense putting the board or whoever, accounting or whoever it might be, through the hassle of getting us $100 and then nobody goes.
Vanita, are you going?
I can go. Yeah.
Okay, if you're going to go, that's great. Let's do it then.
Yeah, I can go. And then on top of it, I think, Chip, I don't even know if we will get this $100 within these 10 days.
Yeah.
I think this motion can actually move towards next year too, or future years too.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
that's why I feel that this motion is really important. Anyways, any more discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Brian? Oh, you are the maker of the motion. Of course you are. You say aye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Motion passes unanimously, and I hope the staff can take this information and let the superintendent and anybody else who needs to know that we are looking forward to have that kind of fund for us to have a training to attend the training conference.
Okay.
Laura, any questions?
No.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next is meeting in person. So we had a discussion. I actually went to Horners Junior High, and it was a very interesting school. Very, very interesting. I wanted to ask us to have a meeting over there this month, but since I did not know how many of you will be willing, I wanted to bring it to the committee and see if you'll be willing to have the November meeting in person at Horner or any other site for that matter.
Is that going to be, I'm sorry, is that going to be like a hybrid kind of thing, or? Like
If we do it, we probably will be doing it at the site only. We will not be doing a hybrid one. It will be very hard to do hybrid. I don't think we have the technology to do hybrid. We'll have everybody's laptop open and we might have disturbance, then not. Unless Laura or somebody in the staff has better idea. Carla?
Are we planning to have a tour if we go to one of the sites?
That is what I would expect. When we say a site meeting, I would expect them to give us a tour.
I'll note. So I changed the wording a bit to be not specific to a site, so that whatever site can host such a thing would be able to do it, rather than limiting us to one site that might have a conflicting event. But if we do a tour, so CBOC and FAC both have this item on their agenda this evening, and we would ideally both would want the same to vote the same way. And if we did do a tour, we would just have to schedule maybe an early start to the meeting for that tour and then start the meeting at the normal time. So the tour may precede the meeting, but we'll have to work that out because FAC also needs to be considered in that.
What we've
so
done,
maybe
I thought what we've done in the past is the tour between the two meetings. So that both, this is pre-COVID, mind you, that both committees could benefit from the tour, and there was only one tour given.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. There'd be one tour given. So if it's between the meetings, then CBOC might have to start early or have a very abbreviated agenda to make that happen. Same with the FAC, starting late or short agenda.
makes sense. Lisa?
Anita, I was actually hoping the November meeting would be video because I'm going to be out of town, but should be able to log in. So if we go live, I like the idea of live meetings, but just turns out November I'm going to be out of town.
Okay. So I mean, when I put this item on the agenda, it was just for us to have an option of having in-person meetings. Doesn't mean that it has to be November. It can be any future meeting, considering all the committee members are available and considering that the site is available. So if it doesn't have to be November 2nd, probably maybe Laura, we want to, I mean, when we are doing the motion, we can say future meetings instead of November 2nd meeting.
Yeah, from a general point of view, I like the idea. I'm in favor of it.
Okay.
So I have a question. So this is not just a tour, right? It's just talk about monthly meetings, right?
So yes and no. We don't have to meet in person every time, in every meeting. We can pick. We can say, okay, next meeting we are going to be in person, and because if I'm not wrong, board has already voted that we can continue to have our online meeting, virtual meetings, right, Laura? If I'm not wrong, they did vote in the last board meeting.
Yes, they reaffirm that every month.
Yeah. So we have that liberty to continue virtually, but we also have an opportunity to visit the site if we want to, and if the sites want us. Lisa, you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just curious. I have not been here since pre-2020. And so how does it get scheduled, selected? Who coordinates the tour, that kind of thing? I don't know how it all comes together.
I think it will be the staff. We can tell them we have a request to go to have an in-person meeting next time. We, in the sense, CBOC as well as FAC, we can probably coordinate that, right, Brian? To see what month we want to do an in-person meeting, and we can let you know that, hey, next time it would be great if we can have an in-person meeting at one of the sites. Can you check if the school site is available on particular date, whatever date we choose, or whatever day our meeting is, and the time. And then probably staff will be the one who will be approaching the school staff and managing that part. Okay, Carla, you have your hand up.
Yes, so I just want to clarify what we're talking about right now is not changing all meetings going forward to be in person, but just scheduling one future meeting at a school site that will also have a tour as a component of the meeting, correct?
Not exactly one, but as we need, as we like, for example, Horner was an interesting school. There are other school sites which are either in phase of construction or are almost nearly done. So we can, it doesn't have to be just specifically one.
So is the question that is before our committee whether we would be interested in scheduling 1 or 2 future meetings at sites. I'm not clear as to what's the question before us.
The question is that whether our committee will be interested meeting in person at any of the sites which are under construction or after are already done with the construction. So that is what is the question.
May I just add that the items specifically written for the November 2nd meeting, and should that not be a good meeting, I might suggest that at the November 2nd meeting, the following meeting be discussed in the same way. We need probably a month lead time to get that scheduled and coordinated with other members. So I think that the CBOC has expressed clearly that you do want to do site visits, but perhaps we can, every meeting, discuss whether or not the following meeting can be one of those at a site. That's just my suggestion.
Okay. Brian, you have your hand raised. Oh, Carla, did I answer? Did you get your answer?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Does the district have any ability to do hybrid meetings at a school site?
Perhaps it's not what we worked out when this was suggested to us. It was to do a tour, and that's what I can agree to right now. Whether or not we can do that.
Oh,
perhaps,
yeah, no, okay, fine.
But
I won't
it might
agree
be
to anything right now. I just wanted to explore the possibility, understand if there was even if that was something possible to be done, just because it would help
the
with
call in, the
participation.
public comment, and everything else, that it would be very tricky to do a hybrid meeting. It's tricky for our board to do it at one location. It would be very tricky for us to do it as a smaller committee at a random location.
Okay. That reminds me of something. I saw that we have 2 meetings in November in the calendar. Is there a reason why we have 2 meetings? Why don't we have a meeting in December?
Because there's a board meeting the first Wednesday of December, and just the way the calendar lined up, Wednesday after Thanksgiving happened to be like the last day of November, I think, if I remember my calendar correctly.
Okay, so in that case,
I figured people wouldn't want to do a late December meeting after the board. That didn't make a lot of sense.
Okay, so is there a possibility that instead of November 2nd, we can have the in-person meeting in November 28th, if I'm not wrong, that's the second meeting of November?
It's November 30th.
November 30th.
So is the first one on November 2nd?
Yeah.
I guess the question for everybody here is, we already know Chip's not available on the 2nd. Question is, would November 30th work for everybody for an in-person meeting at a school site to be determined? And that would work for me.
And the reason why I'm asking you this question is because if that is not possible, then we'll not put this item on the agenda next time for November 2nd. But if it is possible, then we'll continue to have it for November 2nd, and see who's present or who can make it or not.
Would the November 30th meeting actually be the December meeting?
That will be December meeting. Yeah.
All right.
Even though I don't know how staff is going to do the financials, because the financials don't close financial until the last date of that particular month. So anyway, yeah.
Well,
Mr. Hillman?
We don't get a month-ending report anyway, so.
Okay, Mr. Hillman.
I was just going to suggest, if it would please the committee, if you allow Laura and I to look at, let us look at the schools that might be most interesting to you. I've worked with CBOCs in the past where sometimes they're very interested in seeing the before, they like to see the after. There might be one particular site that lends itself to a in the middle and a during of construction type of tour. Sometimes you don't get much of a during construction because you're behind a fence and we can't get in there. It depends what they're doing. Every site's a little bit different, and they're in different parts of the construction. So if we can look at that and get a better idea, I think we're hearing loud and clear you want to visit a site. You'd like to visit a site at least once in the next 2 months. And let us coordinate that. That there's one other thing to consider. We're about to enter daylight savings time, so it's going to get dark earlier, and you may not see as much. So, but that's not a barrier. Just a variable to think about when we start to schedule it within the day, bookended by 2 different committees. So let us work on a structure that might work. We can bring it back to the committee in November. But the other thing we can do before the committee meeting in November is communicate via email to Chair Verma about the possibilities, and we could float some different dates. It sounds like Chip won't be available on the 2nd, so we could try to target that 30th meeting in November as one of the possible dates. And then the other thing we could do is try to find a date in spring now, so that we can schedule a second visit to a different site as things change. So it's clear this is a want of the entire committee. If it helps you, we can do a little work on the back end and bring you some suggestions. But that's just a suggestion. And if you would rather land the date right now, obviously I will go back on mute.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. What do you guys think?
I'm good with that plan.
Okay. Kathy, you have your hand up.
That's
Sorry.
okay. I was just going to say, I think that that's a good idea, and let's abandon the November 2nd date. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
And I would just add to that, add the FAC chair to those communications. And then the other thing is, I guess I would also lean towards it being a middle school, because you have 3 middle schools under construction. Those are the marquee projects. So I would definitely encourage it being a middle school, if possible. So, but
Yes.
thank you. I think that's a great plan.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Brian, and I agree with all of you. So, moving forward, I think we'd like to bring it to the agenda next time again for November 30th meeting. Okay. Next item is Measure E budget report. I know we are at 7:05, and I would like us to stop promptly at 7:28. So Brian has some breathing room. So this is a request to the staff. If you can either make it really fast, or just send us the report, and if it is too lengthy, and if, like, for the pictures, we can, as I think last time Carla mentioned, we can look at the pictures ourselves.
Right.
Just present the report. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just going to go over a few things that might, that have changed. So we don't have to go over every single thing in the report, but, so just to give you kind of a snapshot, as usual, 83% of the revenue received of the total budget has been encumbered, AKA it has been committed, and 17%, there's a remaining budget of 17%. So this is one of the items that changed. I added this table right here that shows the state funding amount because of the how it was requested during a previous meeting to list these amounts, even though they aren't part of the Measure E fund, and they're excluded from totals elsewhere in the report. This is just, because the committee requested these numbers. That's that.
Excluded from program contingency. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this is in progress projects. Nothing's really changed there. Just wanted to note that you might see things like Horner and Washington Theater are still in progress projects list, even though their main scope is complete. That's because their funds are still going to be used for additional work. So we're not going to close that out financially. And the other thing that has changed is under program administration costs. we recently added this line item here, 540-8010A, district-wide bond program cost to reallocate to projects. And this item is an offset to program administrative costs that are allocated to each current project at the end of every fiscal year. So each project budget includes its share of program administration costs. However, the district's accounting system does not account for those budget line items as part of each individual project as a whole under this line item, 540-8010. So at the end of the fiscal year, those costs are then reallocated to each current project. And in order for there not to be any duplicate entries, a negative line item, which is this new line item right here, was added in the amount equal to the program administrative budgets under all current projects, so that it would offset those costs. So just wanted to explain this new line item. And other than that, closed projects, nothing's really changed. Future projects, group 2, group 3 hasn't changed. Not funded projects has not changed. And as usual, I've included a list of payments, expenditures from August 26th to September 26th to give you a snapshot of a typical monthly cost like the committee has requested in the past. So that's in here as well. I went through that really fast. Please let me know if you have any questions or if you want further details. I just know that it was requested that, we kind of speed through it. So
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
And well done, giving us the highlights too. And actually, I appreciate the transparency, like, and the detail around the new line item regarding administrative costs. But just want to clarify then. In say, for example, in the in-progress projects, there's administrative costs in their budget totals already, right?
So it at the this is kind of tripped me up too, but at the end of each fiscal year, let me look back at my notes so I say this correctly, but I'm sorry about that. So at the end of each fiscal year, yeah, those costs are allocated to each current project. So yes, those, so it's like from the 540-8010, that's taken each fiscal year and given to projects.
Right. So as
Interesting.
each project budget, as it's set up initially, has administrative fees allocated to it within the approved budget. As we move forward through the year, certain bills or invoices, fees, and charges hit that project. Those items are then, those invoices are paid out of the 540-8010 line item. And at the end of each fiscal year, those project or those fees and line items or items that have hit those individual projects are all totaled. And that total, because it's the way they process it in Escape, that total amount for each of those, all of those projects is then provided to the accounting department, who then turns around and reallocates that amount of funds back into the 540-8010 line item in the budgets so that we can reallocate them back to the budgets. So that's just the process that's been in place.
But there's this kind of a central shared administrative program that's serving lots of different projects, and it's just a question of when those project budgets are charged for that service. Is that
right? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the way it's set up in Escape, the district's accounting program, they cannot have a line item, multiple line items for that bucket. So they have one line item, 540-8010, within the district's accounting program that houses one bucket for all of those funds. And so we, as the invoices come through for different charges for different projects, administrative fees, legal invoices, those kinds of things, as they come through, they're billed to the project, but then that total is then provided to the district or to the accounting department at the end of the fiscal year, and that amount is drawn out of that 540-8010 bucket in Escape and allocated back to the projects, so that the projects are not carrying a negative line item throughout the course of the year. Does that make a little more sense?
Yeah, thank you. I think I understand.
Thank you, Lisa. Carla, you have your hand up.
So 2 questions. The first one is, could we have some like concrete examples of what some of these administrative costs are? Like, it just says program administrative costs, but are they, I don't know, are they legal fees? Are they, I don't know, something for a specific contractor, subcontract? I just want to have a better understanding of what we're talking about. That's my first question. And then the second one is why they are for each project versus why they're being billed to each project and then having to come back as like a more general cost versus an individual cost. I just don't understand. I don't understand that part of the process.
So yes, that's a perfect example. If we, for particular projects, say Thornton, if there are issues at Thornton that we need to consult the legal department, they will provide an invoice for that time of service. That invoice is then billed against the Thornton project out of the line item for administrative costs. That's then that is paid out. Every invoice is processed. It's sent over to Escape. The district has their internal accounting system is Escape, and then it's processed through Escape and is tapped to the budgets that are held in accounting. I'm trying to explain this as easily as I can. Once they're processed, you can't have a negative on both sides. So it's come out of Thornton and it's also coming out of the accounting system. So the way Escape is set up, the district's accounting system, it can only carry one line item for the 540-8010. So in order to be able to process those invoices against every project as it applies to that particular project, and that money has been allocated within that approved budget, the district then needs to invoice back, if you will, to the particular funds for each project to reallocate those funds back to. Otherwise, we would have carry a consistent negative value to the administrative budget fee or the administrative cost line in the bond or in the program budget, as well as a negative line item in Escape. It's difficult for us to explain a little better because it's just the way that the district's accounting system Escape was set up. So in order to not carry a negative on our budget all the time, it is allocated once a year. At the end of the fiscal year, they're all tallied up. Then that, say, 6.6 million for all of the projects for that year. That is relayed to the accounting department, and the accounting then releases out of that 540-8010 bucket that holds all of those values, that total budget for all of the line items for each of the approved projects. They then reallocate that 6.6 million back to the budgets to offset the negative that is shown in that line item. It's probably the easiest way I can explain it. And I'm sorry, Carla, I forgot your second question.
I guess kind of a follow-up is in your example, is the Thornton project being charged that specific cost for, the example, legal fees that came up in Thornton? Is that project itself being charged that cost, and then somehow it's being factored into the overall program administrative cost?
The program and administrative costs are broken down within each project. So each project approved budget has a soft cost, and that's for architect fees is one line item. For administrative support fees or administrative fees are another line item. Inspection, testing labs, all of those soft costs. Those soft costs are costs and fees that are not a direct result of or directly related to construction, contractors, subcontractors, the billing of that project. So all of these soft costs are allocated above the line, if you will, and that one line item, administrative costs, is for, as we said, anytime we have to get legal advice, or anytime legal helps us put together the front end specifications of a project we're going out to bid. Fees for, I'm trying to think of some other fees that might come out of there. There's a certain amount of, I can't think of anything right now. But yeah, so they are actually, they do get billed against the project that those costs were, or those services were provided to. And then it is offset and reallocated back from accounting at the end of the fiscal year. It's only done once a year, so that it's not a constant. And there's also a percentage of administrative costs, and it's done at about 4.88% for each project. And so that amount was allocated within each budget as it was approved and set up. And those fees, we keep each project has about 4.88%. And it's calculated on a monthly as well as a yearly basis. That's how we came to allocate the amount that we do for each of these projects. But it may not be used completely. So as each line item, as I said, each project has a line item that gets billed against that. That is then shared with accounting, and then at the end of the fiscal year, all of those funds are allocated back at a percentage. So,
Thank you, Lisa. Chip, you have your hand up, and I just want to remind everybody that we have less than 10 minutes.
Okay. I opened up the financial report that was attached to the email, and it's a completely different financial report than the one you're talking about.
I think the email one is for September.
It's
And the one-
dated as of September 10th.
But the one we're looking at is for October.
right, that was the revised one, Chip. We had to update the last report, and so Samara, during the last meeting, committed that she would provide the updated report.
Yeah, and that's what was attached to the email. I noted that in the email, but these items, Samara's report and then also Lisa's report next, are linked in the agenda.
Okay. It just seems like there was a major change in accounting between September 10th and September 26th with this 8010A line item and the 8010 line item. They're two drastically different numbers.
I think, and Samara, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe part of the change there is, Chip, that the previous report was pulled early in September.
Yep.
Or let's see, that was so it'd be early in later in August, early September, and then the other report was after they completed the fiscal update or the fiscal updates, and then ran a new report. So is that what we changed tomorrow? On that?
So I think I know what Chip might be referring to. Initially, for line item 540-8010, Kelly asked us to include the 37 million, which is like the total budget number. But it's because she wanted to show what she, perceives as the true budget. But and so then I included a note saying this is the total budget for bond program support costs. But it should not be added again. It should not be added to make the totals, because then there'll be duplicate basically. So once it was kind of like there was a solution to this in the system, and the solution was adding that item, the 540-8010A.
Yeah.
Because we added that line item, I didn't have to, go and manually do the 37 million thing that Kelly wanted me to do, because now it's more, it's exactly what's in the system.
It's reflecting that. Correct.
It's reflecting what's in the system.
Okay.
Talking about system, does your system not have the copies of check?
So this reporting system doesn't have literally like the copies of checks. That would be like I'm not sure how that would be accounts payable, and I don't know. I know they get the checks from Alameda County. I don't know if they make a copy of them or whatnot. I never see like the actual checks that go out, but I do see the transactions, and I can see the check numbers and everything. Which is what's shown in that attachment.
Well, she scrolled that up, Samara, but I think, Vanita, we addressed this in a previous meeting.
Yes.
When
there was a
discussed,
question. I asked you the question, but I don't think I got the answer.
Yeah. If you remember, Kelly, what Kelly committed to or relayed at that point in time is that the new system that the district accounting is using, Keystone, is what is the company in the program that they have now selected that will pulls everything out of Escape twice a month, combines, puts it all together and pops out this report. And what she said is that as they continue to develop Keystone for the district's use, their intent and hope is to be able to, and the Keystone program does have the capability to do this, is to give everyone, everyone from the CBOC, every board member, et cetera, a sign into that system to Keystone where you can view only. And if, for example, you're interested in looking at one of these expenditures, you can click on the warrant there and it will actually open up and show the check.
No.
But at this level, we don't have that ability right now.
Yeah, currently in the system, there's no way to see the actual check.
Right.
Like I said, I can research, who actually
Warrant numbers, et cetera.
has the actual check, a copy of the check, but it's not in our reporting system.
Right. Okay.
But
Even if we have access to it, if the way Kelly was telling, and you reminded me again, Lisa, about giving access to CBOC members to go and look at it themselves, I think that would be good enough too. But
yeah, and I know
needs to
that they are
happen
working on developing the Keystone program and the tools that the district is using to, at some point in time, be able to provide that. But currently, Keystone is a new program for the district, and we're still working out some of the some issues and bugs, just getting the program to outline the way we need it to outline. So that is a future item that Kelly is hoping to achieve, or the accounting department.
Thank you. I know Brian has to leave. So
yeah,
Brian, do you have any questions? I know you will be missing out on the project status report.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I can look at the video later. This administrative costs table, the more I look at it, the more questions I have, so I don't think it's appropriate for this meeting, but it might be worth thinking about.
Yeah,
You know,
we can
like
certainly
why is
do
the
it.
why is the like you know, like why is the program contingency considered an administrative cost? Was this is one of the many questions that started popping into my head. So maybe putting some thought into that.
We can certainly
could be.
get together, our team, and help answer any of your questions offline, offside. Well, maybe we can't do that. I don't know.
I would just to respond specifically to that, the bond program contingency. I think that you're right. It could be in its own separate table. You know, now that you're saying that, I could definitely make that change.
Oh, I think it's just the way you've got it.
Yeah, I think it's just the way the reports
Laura.
are set up, but I can definitely change that and change how it's generated and not have it in that table.
Yeah, I think it was separate on the last.
Yeah.
The way we had it set up previously. Perhaps we look at breaking that.
Yeah,
up.
no, yeah.
Yeah. I see.
Consider that input. I like I said, I appreciate all the information, and the detailed notes are great. It allows us to ask these questions. But I need to go to my next meeting.
Yeah,
And,
thank you, Brian.
but
No
thank you.
problem.
I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Vanita, should we just table the other review and just send it out as part of the?
I don't know. What is I would let my committee members to talk about it and see whether they want to get the other report, or do you want to table it? Anybody?
This is Carla. Could we do it in 10 minutes? I'd be fine with that.
Oh, sure. I can make it a very quick review.
Please. This is Laura. I also have to go
And
over
no
to
pictures.
the FAC meeting, so I'll still be here, but I will not be available. Have a good night.
Thank you,
Okay,
Laura.
let me just
Good
go
night.
ahead and just very quickly share this.
Lisa, I request again. Try
Yes.
to. I know Carla said 10 minutes. Let's try to keep it at 5. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Can we see that? Oh, here it comes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the project progress update report for October 5th. First slide is the projects that are in procurement as well as design. Kennedy High School still in procurement. The board is, the district is still reviewing those bids. No further update there. The group ones are continuing design. The architects are working on identifying additional ADA scope as per the requirement of DSA. And we are putting a slide together for presentation of that information at some point in the future. Hopkins construction, all of the existing buildings, the first increment, considered increment 1 and increment 2, are all of the existing buildings. They're all complete. Some minimum punch item here or there. Occasionally we have a couple of projectors that need to hang up, that kind of thing. Other than that, all of those buildings are occupied and were set up and ready for the start of school. Building K1 and Building J, which are the remaining 2 new construction buildings. Building J, the new classroom building. K1, multi-purpose room. They are all under in the phase of interior finishes, exterior finishes for Building K, and interior finishes for Building J. And they are currently working on the lath and plaster going around the Building J exterior. Thornton, we have increments 1, 2, and 3B increments 1 and 2 are complete. Increment 3B and yes, I was correct the first time. 1, 2, and 3B are complete. Increment 4 and increment 3A, which is the new administration building and library building. The existing structures have been demolished, and the area had the 2 buildings that were being knocked down, demoed to provide the space for the new admin and library building to be constructed, has been completed. And so they are now starting the underground utilities for that new structure. Centerville Middle School conversion, phase 3, phase 1 and 2 are complete. Phase 3, increment 1 is all of the existing buildings and construction that goes on in the existing buildings. That is for the most part complete. Again, just in punch list items and some cleanup there and some small miscellaneous items that we're adding, some additional fence here and there. Phase 2, increment 3, which is the building G, the locker room, and continue with the new classroom building. The locker room demolition is complete. The interior construction or modernization is in progress, and the new building continues. Exterior is almost complete. You'll see in some of the photos there's plaster, paint, all of that, and the interior continues in interior finishes as well. So you'll have Thornton modernization existing buildings. There's the demo being completed, interior, exterior, modernization of the existing site. You see some planning going on, and demolition of the areas to build the new building, the admin library building. Centerville, again, this is the interior of the new construction, the new classroom building. You can see it's in finishes of drywall, plaster, paint, ceiling is going in, and the exterior and a couple of the existing buildings. This is building G in the locker room area. You can see the construction ongoing there. And Hopkins, on the left is building J, the new 2-story classroom building, and some interior shots there. So you've got various levels of framing is complete, and the finishes, the drywall and whatnot are going up. And the and the building K1 multipurpose building, you can see the exterior on the bottom right, plaster's done, and it's been painted, so it looks really nice. And this actually, the flat work that you see, the formwork here, this is actually complete as well now. And the interior of the new multipurpose room, that's the stage on the bottom left, done and painted. So it's ongoing in the finishes interior. How'd I do? And then there's just some photos, placeholder for projects in design to go forward in the future. So, okay.
Thank you so much, Lisa. You kept it in 5 minutes.
I was
Awesome.
right.
Great job. You were running through. I saw that. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Do we have anything about future topics? Do you? I know that we are going to discuss the in-person meeting in future. What else do we want to talk about in the next meeting?
Long range facility plan
Okay.
update from Kelly. I want to know kind of what's happening with that.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. If not, then let's move on. It's 7:36. And can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second, Carla.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Meeting adjourned at 7:36. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Have a
Have a
you.
nice evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.